Dudes, it has never been more over than right now, and I feel so terrible for the people involved. And I don't know what the real answer is. I don't know who to blame. I don't know where to even begin to triangulate my anger, because this is probably one of the most unprecedented situations of art theft I've seen in the industry in a very long time. I would argue it's probably the worst because of how blatant the plagiarism is, how many of the assets that were stolen, how the assets were utilized throughout the entirety of the game's marketing campaign and the actual development of the game itself. This is insane. For those of you who have been living under a rock for the last couple of days, Anti-Real is an artist that has come forth and alleged that Bungie has been utilizing assets from their portfolio for the last couple of years that they've been building on for development of Marathon. And their intention wasn't to try and get some money out of them, but to basically show that this is a thing that consistently happens in the industry on a much larger scale that people don't necessarily know about. So I, first hearing this, have seen it before. Bungie's been through this literally 4 times over, and every single time it has been proven that yes, one or two contractors or a former employee of such, for some reason, has just decided to go ahead and utilize a stolen asset and pass it off as their own. So I just waited. I was like, let me see the situation develop. Let me see where it goes from here. Thinking it was going to just be like one picture. No. This is the worst it's ever been. This is a fundamental stealing of someone's entire flow in order to build every aspect of the game on. And even if that isn't true, that's what it ultimately feels like. They can do everything in their power to remove all of Anti-Real's assets from the game, and it would still not be enough to convince me that the entire art team wasn't just complicit in art theft. Like, there are more and more shots of one-to-one replications of the assets being all over the levels and the design in Marathon. There's 2 in particular that I think are incredibly egregious. One, it comes from I guess Anti-Real is doing a daily series of these posters over a course of, a particular set of time, and there was one called Anti-Real Series 28, like something like that, daily series, and you can actually see the art in game, and that particular watermark of Anti-Real's name being there is glossed over. It's erased kind of to try to remove that. So it was not only complicit, there was intention. They knew exactly what they were doing. There was somebody or some people who knew exactly what was happening and utilized these assets and plastered them all over the place with reckless abandon, thinking that nobody was going to pay close enough attention. Which is funny considering the fact that the entire point behind Marathon and their overall marketing campaign is the esoteric nature of the game in and of itself, which would obviously cause several people to look closely at things, look over every aspect of the environment, try to find environmental clues. That's literally what they're selling the game on, and it ultimately ended up in fucking them over. For the life of me, and I've never been more secondhand angry for somebody ever, because this industry, I want everything. I want to be so much more positive. I don't want to be like those fucking grifters on the internet who spend the entirety of their days creating this insane negative content, these 40-minute to 50-minute diatribes about how much they hate everything and hate everyone, and the AAA industry is awful and there's no such thing as a good game, because I know it's not the truth. I know that at its core, this industry, especially the Western industry for video games, is full of people who are incredibly creative, incredibly driven, incredibly passionate about what they do, and they want to create art. But in the AAA space, it feels like every ounce of that creativity, every ounce of that passion is being just forced out of them and squeezed from them until they are nothing, until they are basically former shells of themselves. And if there is a company specifically within this industry that represents that more than anything right now, it is 100% Bungie. I'm sure that there are, just like every other studio, just like every other corporation, people who work there who genuinely want to make a difference, people who absolutely have amazing ideas to move our medium forward and to do insanely cool things, and they are constantly being met by piece of shit leaders and managers and CEO and COO types that will do everything in their power to remove their agency, their autonomy, and just turn them into fucking hive-minded rats at the end of the day, and it sucks and I hate it. And clearly this is a case where the powers that be were heavily involved in the decision making of this process of just wholesale taking this person's portfolio and just slapdashing it across every singular art asset that they possibly could find in the game. I mean, there's more and more examples popping up. I don't know if I brought up the second egregious one. I meant to say the other one. The second one is that Anti-Real actually hid loss within their artwork, and allegedly someone someone was able to find it, and it looks like lost to me, which is the funniest watermark you could possibly do, but also one of the most blatant showcases that, yes, this is straight up just stealing their shit one to one. It pains me to see not only Bungie in this state, but to feel like the entirety of the Western AAA industry is in this similar state. And I don't want people to lose their job. I'm unemployed. I was laid off from the tech sector. I know how hard it is. I'm going to be completely transparent with everyone at home. I had to move back in with my family because of the state of the economy, the state of the world, the state of everything going on. It's bad. It's bad everywhere. And the last thing I want is for good people, well-meaning people to lose their jobs. But the CEO and COO and leadership type people are the ones who are making the worst decisions they possibly can, who are outright stealing from smaller creators for the intention of chasing the highest dollar they possibly can. And it's weirdly enough that it's all happening in Marathon, which at its core seemed like literally a commentary on that same kind of capitalist dystopian narrative, and it is by and large affected by it more than any other property that Bungie has worked on. It's insane. This is incredibly unprecedented, and I hate it. I hate that this is happening. I hate that I can't just make my channel be happy-go-lucky. I hate that I can't be a beaming ray of positivity in this horrible, horrible fucking industry that is just tearing us apart. Division has never been at its like the highest it's ever been, and I just wish for the days where the biggest problems we had were the console wars. I pine for them, man. I really do. I miss the days in which it was just us arguing about whether or not Gears or Halo was better, or Call of Duty versus Battlefield, and not shit like this, man. Not culture war shenanigans, not all this fucking miserable nonsense that this is obviously going to be warped into as well to help a narrative that many of these people are going to utilize to go after Bungie for all the wrong reasons when there are completely right reasons to go after them for, but I digress. That's a whole other conversation topic. Right now, I can no longer in good conscience actively try to root for Marathon. In fact, if anything, I hope it fails. I hope that the only takeaway from this is that they have to cut the cord. I hope they cancel the project, and I hope that those in power are held accountable for their actions. But more often than not, it's not the case, and there's going to be the people at the bottom, those who didn't know, genuinely, those who were just trying to do their job, are going to suffer from this. And that, I think, is what's going to fucking break my heart forever about this industry. We're going to just see these people continue to make the same decisions, do the same bullshit, steal from the same people over and over and over again. Something's got to give, man. Something's got to change. And if it requires an entire industry crash to do it, then so fucking be it. But anyways, what do you guys think? What are your comments on this? What are you mulling over? Is there anything I can do? I'm still working in the Oblivion video. I'm sorry if it's taken out a lot longer than I thought. That one's going to be a little bit more on the positive side of things. It's going to have a lot more comedy and things going on like that. It's going to be fully written too, so none of this off the cuff shit, but we'll try to have that same kind of vibe. You guys tell me what you guys think. Much love. Try to have a good one. I'm going to see if I can get some more videos out there and talk about some cool things. Have a good one.